Imagine entire nations, vast civilizations, rich in knowledge and culture, deliberately cutting themselves off from the world, not out of necessity, but out of fear. What happens when survival instincts turn into isolationist prisons? Today, we journey through 10 historical examples where borders weren't just geographical. They were mental. Minds closed, doors locked, and sometimes, entire societies paid the ultimate price. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell. The lessons from history aren't just stories, they're warnings. Warning 10. Ming China's maritime ban, 15th–17th century. The mighty Ming dynasty ruled over a China rich in trade, invention, and naval power. In the early 1400s, Admiral Zheng He sailed the oceans, showcasing Chinese influence from Southeast Asia to the Horn of Africa. Yet, within decades, the Ming court suddenly banned all maritime expeditions. The story isn't just about ships gathering dust. The ban came from fear of foreign influence, court intrigue, and the obsession with self-sufficiency. Merchants were punished, ports closed, and the world beyond China's coasts became a forbidden mystery. While Europe surged ahead in exploration and colonization, China's curiosity turned inward, locking in knowledge, skills, and ambition. Lesson: closing doors to protect culture can freeze innovation, leaving a civilization blind to the currents reshaping the world. Present-day parallel. Modern economic protectionism mirrors this, where nations prioritize self-sufficiency over global collaboration, often slowing growth in critical technologies. Warning 9. Tokugawa Japan's Sakoku, 1633–1853. For over 2 centuries, Japan was a nation physically open yet mentally closed. The Tokugawa shogunate implemented Sakoku, a policy forbidding Japanese citizens from traveling abroad and restricting foreign influence to tiny, controlled trade ports. It wasn't just trade. It was a cultural quarantine. Christianity was banned, foreign books censored, and curiosity punished. Japan developed an internal order and harmony, but the world evolved rapidly outside its islands. When Commodore Perry arrived in 1853, Japan had to scramble to catch up technologically and militarily. Lesson: isolation can create internal stability but at the cost of global awareness. Future-oriented question: could a nation today follow Japan's path digitally, shutting down internet access or AI research? And what price would it pay decades later? Warning 8. Joseon Korea's isolation, 1392–1897. The Korean peninsula under the Joseon dynasty became the hermit kingdom, wary of both China and Japan. Kings promoted Confucian order, discouraged foreign travel, and limited trade to select ports. This isolation preserved culture but also nurtured paranoia. Korea avoided colonization briefly but at the cost of delayed modernization. When Western powers eventually arrived, the country was vulnerable. Lesson: isolation preserves identity, Yet it can also trap nations in rigid thinking, making adaptation painful and reactive rather than proactive. Present-day echo. Certain industries today resist globalization, fearing cultural contamination, risking obsolescence. Warning 7. Ethiopia resisting modernization, 19th–20th century. Ethiopia, under emperors like Menelik II, fiercely guarded its borders and traditions against foreign influence. While Europe industrialized, Ethiopia limited Western advisors, resisted foreign technology, and embraced self-reliance. Though this helped preserve sovereignty during colonial invasions, it also created a lag in modernization. By the 20th century, Ethiopia faced challenges integrating into a rapidly globalizing world. Lesson: fear of external influence can protect autonomy temporarily, but unchecked, it delays adaptation and leaves nations behind. Present-day reflection. Resistance to foreign expertise in infrastructure or education can stunt national progress in subtle, cumulative ways. Warning 6. Bhutan's late opening, 20th century. Bhutan remained one of the most closed societies until the mid-20th century. The kingdom restricted foreign visitors, delayed modern technology, and tightly controlled information flow. The story of Bhutan is fascinating. It survived colonization and maintained cultural purity. Yet, when the world finally entered, the sudden influx of tourism and media caused social and economic shocks. Lesson: even benevolent isolation can generate fragility, as rapid exposure later can overwhelm social cohesion. Future-oriented question: could digital isolation today, like extreme censorship, cause similar societal shocks when global reality finally breaks in? Warning 5. North Korea's closed system, 1948 present. Perhaps the starkest modern example. North Korea has created an internal universe, where information is tightly controlled, and contact with the outside world is punished. Citizens live with curated history, filtered knowledge, and constant propaganda. The borders are fortified, both physically and mentally. Yet, this extreme isolation creates profound vulnerability, technologically, economically, and diplomatically. Lesson: total isolation is not survival, it is suspension, a fragile bubble doomed to confront reality eventually. Present-day digital echo. State-controlled internet or social media silos can replicate this isolation on a smaller, global scale. Warning 4. Soviet Iron Curtain rigidity, 1945–1991. After World War II, the Soviet Union erected both literal and ideological walls across Eastern Europe. Nations behind the Iron Curtain were cut off from Western ideas, trade, and even culture. The story is chilling. Citizens learned about the world only through propaganda, dissent was punished. While this created a monolithic system, it also bred inefficiency, stagnation, and a blind spot that contributed to eventual collapse. Lesson: ideological borders can be as restrictive as walls, leaving societies ill-equipped for change. Present-day parallel. Political echo chambers, online or offline, can mimic the same rigidity on a micro scale. Warning 3. Qing self-sufficiency myth, 1644–1912. The Qing dynasty believed it needed little from the outside world. Agricultural abundance and internal markets fueled a sense of self-reliance that bordered on arrogance. China's reluctance to industrialize quickly, combined with suspicion of foreign ideas, left it vulnerable to Western imperialism in the 19th century. Lesson: overconfidence in isolation can turn into strategic blindness. Future-oriented question: could nations relying solely on domestic AI or tech innovation risk being leapfrogged globally? Warning 2. Pre-WW2 U.S. Isolationism, 1919–1941. After World War I, the United States largely turned inward, refusing to join the League of Nations and erecting economic barriers. The story here is human. Fear of foreign entanglements, desire for security, and political indecision kept the nation from engaging with brewing global threats. The lesson was brutal. Delayed intervention in World War II cost lives and resources. Lesson: physical and mental isolation can provide comfort in the short term but blind societies to imminent dangers. Present-day reflection: political or economic withdrawal today can have similarly unforeseen consequences, especially in a hyper-connected world. Warning 1. Digital echo chambers today, 21st century. Finally, the modern iteration, our minds as borders. Social media algorithms create digital walls, where people only see ideas that reinforce existing beliefs. Unlike historical empires, this isolation is voluntary, yet it shapes politics, social behavior, and perceptions of reality. The danger: a society divided not by geography, but by ideology and curated information, unable to respond collectively to crises. Lesson: mental borders are as dangerous as physical ones. They limit empathy, critical thinking, and adaptability. Open-ended warning question: if the world continues building ideological walls, what storms will break us before we realize the doors were always closed? History warns us: walls, borders, and closed minds might feel safe, but they carry consequences. From Ming China to digital echo chambers, the price of isolation has always been the same: stagnation, vulnerability, and sometimes disaster. If you want to explore more hidden lessons from our past that shape the future, hit that subscribe button. Knowledge is the key that opens every locked door.